This summer, my 5-year-old dream finally came true. I got to host my very first Blue Pine Arts watercolor retreat in the majestic Canadian Rockies. And this is how it turned out. Seeing as it was my first time hosting a retreat, it turned out way more magical than I'd ever hoped for. And I think magic like this must be shared. So in this video, I want to give you an intimate look into how these 4 days unfolded with some of the best people in my community and the entirely romantic time we had creating with watercolors and resting and playing in the lap of nature. Come along. Good morning. It is one day before the retreat begins, and I wanted to show you what I mean when I say that we are so committed to spoiling our students who come to the retreat. And by the way, I haven't even taken a shower. I'm still in my pajamas drinking coffee. So don't mind me, but look at what Nahush is doing. Back home in India, we have been having torrential rains and none of our paints are drying because, it's honey-based consistency. And so our Blue Pine Arts team sent us fresh made paint, and Nahush has been sitting here at my studio in Cochrane and he has hand filled the paints in all of these full pans that are going to go to our retreat students. So this has taken him a couple of weeks because we fill our paints in many different layers. But since the weather in Calgary is dry, different pigments react differently. So this is quinacridone rose, but this is just the pigment, right? That's just how dry it is here in Calgary. But don't mind the cracks because this is still superior quality of paint and it's going to re-wet so quickly, so soon. Right now he is putting the labels on our paints now, right? So this is the amount of detailed work that we do to make things happen, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to give our beautiful professional handmade watercolors to our retreat students. After packing all the retreat supplies and our bag, Nahush and I headed to a stunning retreat venue, the Crossing at Coast River. This is an enchanting 145 acres rural riverside property, just minutes from my hometown in Cochrane, Alberta. The best part is that it's an hour's drive from Calgary International Airport and an hour away from Banff. Actually, this is a lovely bonus because some of the students took a trip to Banff National Park and its beautiful locations before arriving at the retreat. There's so much I love about this venue. Their expansive grounds and intimate spaces to gather with our guests. And I love how each one of our guests got their own private rooms with charming vintage furnishings and ensuite bathrooms. I adore their top-notch chefs who make drool-worthy gourmet food. The Coast River flowing through the property and this enchanting riverside fireplace. And what I love most is the kind of tucked away quietness, full of nature's sounds and wildflowers and bees and tall spruces. One by one, my students started arriving, and when they did, we squealed and hugged each other tight. I mean, it blows my mind that we had only ever spoken on the internet, and here we were, laughing and talking about how great it was to finally see each other's faces. Once we had appetizers, wine, and dinner, we gathered on the deck outside in the sunshine for a simple Sankalpa ritual. Sankalpa means intention in Sanskrit. Everyone wrote their intentions for their retreat and their creative practice in general on our Blue Pine Art seed paper, which has holy basil, tulsi seeds in them. And then once they did that, I led them through a simple guided meditation session that allowed them to meditate on their intention and communicate it straight to their subconscious mind. the place where all real change happens within ourselves. By the end of this session, everyone felt deeply relaxed and they were able to leave the tiredness and worries of their world behind as they immersed themselves fully in creative play and rest in the present moment. Then it was time for everyone to dig into their gift bags full of Blue Pine Art's handmade professional supplies and local goodies. It was really sweet to see them excited like kids on Christmas morning, going ooh and ah over their handmade paints and like checking what colors the other person had gotten. And they really loved the custom fabric we chose for the brush rolls and the sketchbooks, and that just made me so happy. So I'm just going to take a moment to give a huge shout out to my team in India who worked over months to make this happen. That night we gathered in a games room where we had a nightcap and we got to know each other. We exchanged stories of our families, how we had met our partners, the names of our pets, and everything else. So by the time we went to sleep that night, it was as if we had known each other all along. Morning, my loves. It's day 2 of our retreat and we're all gathered here in front of our retreat building because we're all going to go on a photography hike. So we're going to walk along the Ghost River and we're going to bring our cameras along, and I'm going to teach a workshop on how to take compositionally sound reference pictures for your painting. So when you're traveling, you want to take beautiful pictures, so you want to come back and paint, right? So how to make them compositionally sound, what elements to capture, how to capture your memories so that you can come back and paint them and ingrain them deeper and deeper into your mind so that you always remember your beautiful travel experiences. So super excited. We've got our picnic stuff that they're packing over there. Everybody is ready to go. Everybody is excited. Let's do this. I chose the theme for this retreat as painting memories because I had a particular intention behind it. There's this Danish philosopher, Søren Kierkegaard, and he said, most people rush after pleasure so fast that they rush right past it. You know, most of the times we travel, we feel amazing, we take a few hundred photos of the place, and when we get back, we're immediately swept away by the daily humdrum of life, and we're swept away by the same internal anguish that we had before the trip. So the solution to holding on to all the joy, inspiration, and freedom that you felt on your travels? Capturing the essence of it all by painting your experiences. When you actually paint the photographs from your travels, you train your attention to focus on the details, like the lights and shadows, the particular blue of the sky when you were there, the texture of the mountains, the myriad of greens in the trees, and the burst of colors in the flowers. You notice things in a way that you didn't before, and that lets you root yourself deeper into the peace, happiness, and fulfillment that you felt on your travels. This feeling of peace through your creativity in your daily life, it can sustain you as you face the challenges of your regular life. It's about taking the time to intentionally slow down for a few days and reconnect with your inner child, because it is that child inside of you that is boldly creative. But not all photographs that you take on your trips translate well to a painting, and it can feel rather overwhelming. So that is why in this retreat, I wanted to give my students the skills to capture their travel memories in compositionally sound photos that can act as easy reference pictures for their paintings back home in their studio. You know, I'm the sort of person who stops every few minutes on a hike to take pictures of the breathtaking views and all the plants and the wildflowers and everything. I personally think we should all dilly-dally more anyway, but I know that it's not everybody's thing. So imagine my delight when in this photography hike workshop, when I saw that every single student was exactly the same as me. So we relished in dilly-dallying around the property. There was nobody to rush us, and we took so many pictures to our heart's content of all the moments that inspired us so that we could paint them the next day in the watercolor workshops. After taking loads of pictures, we're finally at the part of the retreat that all of us have been so excited about, and that is the riverside fire pit and the little seating area over there. Like, check it out. How incredible is that? So, you know how everybody arrived yesterday at 4 p.m., right? By the time we finished dinner, it was too dark to come to this spot. But right now, everybody is here and they're all so excited to be here. When I came to check out the retreat property, all of this was frozen. There was snow over everything. And now look at the turquoise blue waters of the Coast River and this absolutely serene place. Teaching the workshops of foundational watercolor landscape skills was important to me at this retreat, of course. But I also wanted my students to have many restful moments of quiet stillness in this place. Instead of filling every minute with jam-packed action, I made sure they got lots of time by themselves so that they could reconnect with their inner self, their inner child, and find within them whatever it is that they came here to seek. The special thing about our venue is all of the amazing food that is prepared by private chefs over here. And so I want you to take a look at it because it is heavenly and they're spoiling us. They're giving us so many options every single day. So let's take a look at what they have for us today.
So we have garlic bread right here on the end, arugula with strawberries, lemon, rosemary, vinaigrette, cucumber, pineapple and date salad, watermelon, feta and balsamic vinaigrette, roasted zucchini, roasted cauliflower, spaghetti squash. For our starters we have risotto made with veal stock and polenta, chickpeas stew. It's hearty with tomato sauce, carrots, potatoes, beans, lemon and rosemary chicken, broccoli and corn soup. With a little bit of croutons.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, chefs. You have been so amazing.
Yes. We snuck some banana chocolate chip muffins in
Oh,
behind you there.
superb. After that unbelievable lunch, we went to paint in the Pine Loft, which is a rustic barn-style loft with soaring ceilings, a large deck with sunny forest views where we actually saw deer galloping by, like going boing boing. A perfect space for snacks and coffee, and these gorgeous mahogany desks which were perfect to spread out our art supplies and paint our hearts out. In this first painting workshop, I took them through watercolor foundations because at my retreats, everyone is invited to come as they are and everyone arrives with different skill levels. So whether you're a beginner or more experienced artist, it's always a good idea to warm up by going back to the basics. I had them all go through practical exercises like understanding colors and color mixes, how to use different paint consistencies, landscape techniques like controlled wet in wet, creating harmonious washes, dry brushing technique for adding texture, and using the brush more effectively by creating expressive brush strokes. I love that in an in-person setting like this, I'm able to observe my students and their watercolor practice in full close-up detail. This allows me to give them hyper-specific critiques and improvements, just tiny little things that just make the biggest difference. For example, I discovered that 2 of my students were holding their brushes wrong and their washes were affected because of that. Someone else was not making big enough puddles of paint on their palette, which means no juicy washes, because of which her paintings would always appear dry and blotchy even after watching all the watercolor tutorials. Yet another person was using acrylic brushes for watercolors and they were facing the frustrations of that. If you know, you know. So once she painted with my professional brushes, she just was, oh my god, she just lit up from inside and she saw how easy watercolors could be. So with these minor improvements, they saw enormous progress in how they paint with watercolors, and that made me so happy. This is the kind of intimate support and empowerment I can only offer in in-person settings, and this is why I love hosting retreats. At the end of day 2 and we're basking in the evening sunlight. All the girls and the boys are just like kind of excluded, but it's okay, it's our moment right now. And look at this beautiful light behind us and the river. Good morning, my loves. It's day 3 of my retreat and I'm headed over to the Pine Loft all by myself first because I just want to spend half an hour just painting by myself and just making the painting that I'm going to teach my students today from the reference pictures that we took yesterday from our photography walk. It's just my way of grounding myself and just being a little better prepared so that I can teach a super impactful workshop to my students. So they're all back there having breakfast in the main building in the Remington house. And so I get to have a little alone time with my watercolors, which I think is just perfect. We chose to paint this idyllic picture of the river house on the property that we took the day before. In this third workshop, we took things to the next level and I taught them how to make value studies. If I've said this once, I've said this a million times, values are always more important than colors, no matter what medium you're making your art in. So making a value study before diving into your final painting is a highly important step in making a cohesive artwork because, one, it allows you to simplify the painting by connecting the big shapes with the middle value. And two, it lets you do some problem solving and it creates room to make mistakes and to learn from them so that you can apply all the wisdom that you've gained through a value study in your final painting. After another scrumptious lunch, in the fourth and final workshop, I demonstrated the final painting layer by layer where I showed how to paint the beautiful river house in that sunny, hazy morning light. And I also gave them the exact color recipes to use to refine their color mixing abilities. As I walked around the room observing my students as they made their final painting, I was actually swelling with pride on the inside to see them apply everything they'd learned in a deep flow state in this final painting. They seemed to have found a kind of liberation with watercolors, which was just fascinating to watch. And I must say they were fantastic students because they really took what they learned and ran with it. But it's not just about the techniques, right? We unlocked the meditative aspect of watercolors by slowing down, breathing deep, and submitting to the flow of water and pigments. As each stage of the painting got more challenging and scary in the workshops, I showed my students how to use their breath to slow down and to stop that fear and anxiety spiral right in its tracks so that they were able to drop into their body, which is exactly what allowed them to paint in a fearless, liberated way because then they were accessing flow state. And you can see the effect of all of this in their final paintings right here. You can see how every single painting has its own unique style because we had each experienced the river house, the same place, in a different way. This unique experience, coupled with their own energy, resulted in their own authentic style showing through. And they were able to do all of that in a much, much more effortless way, in a way that watercolors finally felt truly enjoyable. And the memory of this place together, its essence, our collective creative effervescence, it was all captured in our vibrant paintings. It was fascinating to hear the breakthroughs.
So now I can take my own photographs and maybe make paintings from them.
There's the soul and the meditation and the whole have it coming out of you more. I guess I'm just understanding it more the way you're teaching it.
Part of the reason I'm here is because it hits all of the boxes of what I enjoy doing, right?
Elevating the paper that I was working on and then making sure to keep the bead of water as I'm doing my washes, that made a big difference in like how even my washes look.
I've realized like even making the lightest tone, you need a good amount of color and water in your palette.
Carrying the midtones through the painting, I think that was also really great and something that will elevate my paintings in the future.
I just like how we stop and breathe, and when it's not intimidating.
Overall experience has been wonderful. I mean, it's always a little bit nerve-wracking to like go to a retreat where you don't know anybody, you're not sure if you're going to get along with the people there, but I think it's been a really positive experience right from the start. Everyone's been really friendly, and I think when you go to a retreat that's like kind of part of a community, like you're somewhat similar to the people that go, so that's been really good.
And just being able to talk to other people about art and creativity and creating things is just, it doesn't happen face to face very often, if at all. It's exactly what we needed.
Spending time by the river and like going out and taking pictures together, I think that was really special and something that I'll remember for a long time.
We are surrounded with like nature, there is a river, forest, and we went on a couple of walks, which was amazing. We took some photographs and like made a painting using one of those photographs, so that was wonderful. And I have to mention food, like, because I'm a vegetarian. I wasn't expecting, but the food was really, really good.
This venue, this place that we are at, is glorious. It is peace giving. It is relaxing. It is beautiful.
Last evening of the retreat, we just wrapped up dinner and desserts and wine and appetizers and all of the good stuff that the staff here at the Crossing has been spoiling us with. I thought it was the perfect finish to this retreat, and then this happened. I cannot believe this. We're seeing the northern lights on the last night of my retreat, and they're super bright. It's so bright out, so you know how you can barely see them with a lot of light pollution, and there's so much light out there on the deck, and we can still see them so clearly, the streaks. So I can't wait for it to get darker. But how could I have asked for more for my first retreat? Like, I just love that these are the memories that we're making, and I just think, for the name of this retreat, Painting Memories, just think about the magnitude of this magic. Like, think about the beautiful memories that the 8 of us at this retreat are making. I mean, if this is not magic, I don't know what is. My cheeks are hurting with all the smiling and the laughing. Oh my god, I'm so grateful. I'm so happy and I'm so grateful. After many days of waiting, watching and hoping, the sky came alive with the dancing northern lights. It was a flawless bookend to this magical experience. The thing that made me the most happy was that, except for me and Naharsh, it was everybody else's first time seeing the Aurora Borealis, and I'm stoked it happened at our retreat. All the whooping and dancing when we saw them, all the laughing gleefully, and staring at them from the Pine Loft's deck in the darkness. It was beyond perfect and magical, and I have no words to describe it. I hope the dancing lady comes out when you attend one of my retreats in the future. Okay, I'm having a little moment right now. I was sitting in the sunroom with everybody, and everybody has like a beautiful full plate of food. And in that moment where I saw all of my guests with a full plate of food, and everybody is saying, you know, how they're just so happy with the food and how there's just so much variety and they just want to have a bit of everything and they're so happy about the food. I felt my grandmother, my nanny, my mom's mom. I felt her presence and I felt her smiling down on me. I call her Ai. So her whole thing was just like feeding people. All she ever wanted to do for her purpose, her fulfillment, her success came from feeding really good food to her guests. I think she's like really proud of me for like being a good host and carrying forward her legacy and like feeding people really good food. I think she's really happy. So I was not expecting to feel her presence and her happiness with me all of a sudden just now. Surprising emotional moment. And I thought I should share this with you guys. You know, there's always a nervous element to hosting in-person events like retreats because you have never met the people who are coming and you're hoping against hope that everyone's energies and frequencies match because we're spending such an intimate time over several days, right? But honestly, this group's energy was extra special and I just love how everyone gelled with each other instantly and they all returned home being lifelong friends. I think these sweet connections are life-giving, especially these deep relationships over our shared love for watercolors and nerding over watercolor supplies and creativity and our love for nature and so many other things that just made us kindred spirits, you know? I could go on, but I'll stop. If any part of this inspired you, then the 2025 retreats are live. I'll link them in the description. So join me and prioritize your creativity and rest because to be human is to create and play. I can't wait to hear what was your favorite moment in this retreat. Thank you for watching. Until the next time, go create.